We just emotional all the time.
Um, I'm telling you, dude, those break and retest, like they work, but if you don't have your like criteria fully down, that shit can really get you into some trouble.
Yeah, yeah. I guess probably just experimenting with them or something.
Yeah. I was gonna say if like Umar were to ask you guys what your A plus setup was that made you money, what would you guys say?
I mean, it's been absorption mostly.
I don't.
Absorption where?
And demand versus supply zone.
Hmm. What about you, Eloy?
I think it's. I don't know the names of them. I gotta study them more to be able to identify the name. So I don't know if it's absorption, but I think it's more of a LVN. But like the one win that I took today, there was a little breakout of an area that I wanted it to break out of, and when it did break out of it, I just waited for the pullback to retest in an area where there was LVN and the SVP. So what's the name of that? It's just a
The
pullback.
LPN retest.
LVN retest, yeah.
Just only
But
reason I'm not
you
sure it's that just because based on how we studied and stuff, I think the LVNs are more significant, and this might just be a breakout retest. I hear you say
can you
reclaim.
go back to your journal and identify exactly where these trades are in your journal?
The one setup that I know how to take, I can identify it.
Like if he were at your desk and he was like, "Okay, show me the past 10 LVN setups you took." Can you pull them up for him and show him exactly where they're at?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I think our reviewing has to like switch to rather than just going back and looking at bookmap for the past week every single day. Like I think it has to be more organized where you go back and you are identifying exactly when your trade appeared, when your A plus setup appeared in the week. Like that's why I've been in demo this past few weeks because I'm trying to identify like how reliable can I use this absorption setup that I have where I'm not where it's like convincing me mentally and just emotionally that I don't need to take any other trade. Yeah, like I see Carmine taking other trades, I see Gabriel taking other trades, I see you taking other trades, but I don't want to just take the trade because I think something's gonna happen. Like I want to take the trade because it's my A plus setup and I know the probabilities of it working out over time. So the reason I even decided to do the absorption was because I reviewed my live trades prior to doing this and I realized that those break and retest of yesterday's high or pre-market high low um, weren't making me I was losing more money than actually making money. And then I realized that the absorption setups were the ones that were actually giving me the profits. But then I would take those other trades and it would just deplete my profits that I even made for the week. So now I'm going into the weeks identifying how often does that absorption setup actually occur. And can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see that for the past, what is this, one, two, three, four,
You gotta
5
teach
weeks?
me. You gotta teach me how to read this because I get confused.
All right, it's not that complicated. It's just everything that's green, that's highlighted green like this, is my A plus setup. So I'm identifying every time, as you can see here, this is my grading for every trade that I seen or uh, that either I took or I thought had some kind of quality to it. Um, So you can see that every week, which is split by these red lines, has had at least one high quality A plus setup. So that's telling me that I could not trade most of the week, and I will find at least one absorption setup that I can take. Yeah, I do want to be taking other trades, but right now, like, it's no reason for me to focus on that because I can't even master the absorption setup yet. Like, it appears, and sometimes I hesitate. Sometimes I just am, I just don't take it, or I take it and I get stop loss hunt. So rather than playing with my live money, trying to figure that out, like, I'm like, okay, let me just try to really get clear on how I'm taking this A plus absorption setup so that when I go back live, like, I'm taking it without hesitation. It's just I want to get to the point where it's just natural instinct where, like, my confirmations appear and my fingers ready to hit the button. It's not like, is this it? Is this not it? So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm journaling everything I'm seeing occurred. Like, even if I do see this first trade here, like, it was a trap seller's opportunity, but it was sloppy action. So and then my stop loss was crazy, like 5.50. That's dumb stop loss. But this was like when I was first starting to do it. And this one, I actually don't have the week that I didn't come to trade when I was on vacation. So it was the week before this FOMC week. And I bet you if we go back and review that week, there's going to be one A plus absorption setup in that week. I just don't have that information to review. So I didn't have it here. But I think that's how you guys also have to go back or moving forward, journal your week is like, okay, every throughout the week, focus on trying to find that one high probability setup. If Eloy is for you, LVN, then okay, go through the week just trying to locate that one high probability setup. And honestly, the LVN appears quite a bit. So like you really have to identify how that A plus setup appears because I can tell you that, for example, the yesterday's high low uh re- retest, reclaim retest, the way the absorption setup appears compared to the way that one appears is it's similar. It's still trapped participants, but it's going to be slightly different because if you see the absorption setup, there's always going to be, or for the most part, there's always going to be aggressive, it's not as clear here. Let me find a better one. It still happened there, but it's just not as clean. This aggressive selling.
Are you showing something else?
Oh shit! I didn't share the right screen. There's always going to be this aggressive. Say we're focused on demand, not supply. There's always going to be this aggressive selling volume push into it and it's going to be stacked limit orders that's going to hold price. If this super aggressive selling doesn't appear on my absorption setup, then to me it's not ready to take off yet. So once this aggressive selling appears, then I look at CVD, like, is it aligning with what I'm seeing here of price stalling? So here, CVD stalling. Then you start to see slowly buyers start to show their presence, and then I want to see one more pullback into a limit order. Like here, sometimes I want it deeper, but sometimes that's not going to happen because it's just never going to be perfect. So you want to see that aggressive pullback, which you see with the volume, and you can always tell because the volume bar usually is either going to be large grouped selling, but it has to be pretty large compared to what's next to it, or just one super large volume candle like this, and then everything around it is super low, and then you'll
Yeah.
see that the
Yeah.
selling dries up.
that
What?
selling spike always happens. You've been noticing that
Yeah,
before it.
like I could just go to another one here. Look at that large selling spike.
Oh
And if you
shit!
compare it to what's next to it, it's pretty significant. And you can see this is aggressive selling hitting the bid. And then
It's
this one
insane
here.
how clear that is. Oh yeah, right before it.
This one's not as obvious, but I think I'm
Right,
missing. Oh,
right
right
before it,
here.
right there.
Right. Yeah. So it falls into my demand, large spike, and then you see the participants come in, and then the pullback happens, and then the buyers reappear.
Yeah.
Now this
Every
what?
screenshot too. After the large spike, CBD consolidates.
Yeah. Or it's gonna have a aggressive curl because
Mm,
sometimes that consolidation isn't as clear as that other one that I had just showed or this one. Sometimes when the buyers are super fast, it curls very aggressively upward. Um,
mm.
but definitely you want to see that spike in selling, and then you don't have to get in on this one. Almost every time there's a retest of it pulling back slightly. The hard thing about this one, the pullback here, is that sometimes you may think it's this pullback. So I got in here on one of them. I think it was this one exactly. I got in here and then it stop hunt me and then it took off. So that's the only hard part about the pullback. Because if you would have got in here, then you wouldn't even have to worry about getting stopped out if you were the first one. But it can also go bad if it's not ready to take off here. So I try to wait for that pullback, and you almost have to just accept that it's never going to be perfect. So you might get stop hunt, but it's oh yeah, this is I entered. Oh, I entered here. I had 3 entries on this one. It was no, 2 entries. I just didn't take the stop hunt here. And that's what Carmine told me because I had showed him this trade and I was like, "Why didn't you take it here?" And he was like, "I didn't even notice that that was an entry." He was like, "But that was a great entry. You just should have took it again when it stopped hunt you out." But the reason I didn't take it again was because I had taken this stupid trade over here. Um, but yes, every time, like I'm even gonna look at this short, you'll see the aggressive. So here is it's not as obvious, but here you have the aggressive buying hitting the supply. But what makes it more clear to me is look at this limit order that's super heavy here. It hits on this aggressive buying. Look at CVD. It tries to go green and it fails. And then it rejects. You don't have to get in here. So you let the sellers present themselves. Buyers try to pop up one more time. Limit orders are there to absorb that, and then the move starts. And this was a pretty good sell off. I just don't have the rest. Oh yeah, here's the rest of it. But see how the spike in the volume here hits the limit orders right at my supply zone. It tries buyers quickly fail. It tries to sell off. So sellers present themselves, pops up, hits the limit orders, and then boom, there's the drop. So that's what's been allowing me to like not get emotional about waiting for my zone at my supply because on the reclaim level retest, these aggressive pullbacks that I'm pointing out here, this spike isn't as obvious on the reclaim level retest. They're more subtle. So like if you look at, I think I have
I mean, that was a reclaim level retest though.
what?
The one you just showed us. I didn't really see any absorption.
I lost it. It was a short. What is it reclaiming?
Isn't that a supply zone?
This is absorption here. It's buyers popping up into supply, being absorbed by these limit orders here. It gets rejected. Buyers try one more time. The limit orders absorb the
That's a
buying here,
retest.
but we said reclaim retest. What is it reclaiming?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that part.
So that's some of the verbiage that
And
I haven't fully understood. So if you have a screenshot for it to explain the reclaim part, I'm finally
So
understanding how you view absorption.
the reclaim the reclaim would be like if price went inside that supply zone, came back out, and then reclaimed it by
to the
hitting it
downside.
again to the downside. Yeah, it
But
has
it's
to go
more
inside
obvious
this.
with like a yesterday's high or yesterday's low. But this one, is it this one? Yeah, this one. Look at how it it bounces here off of demand, hits this yesterday's high, as you can see here. It tries to pull back and then it reclaims back above it. Reclaim meaning it popped up, pulls back, and then it reclaims back above yesterday's high here.
Okay.
Oh, you could say retest, reclaim retest,
Yeah.
or
So
no, what's it called? Reclaim retest is the same shit.
Is it retest reclaim?
It's the same thing.
I'm getting confused right now because I stopped focusing on these. But see how the aggressive pullback that I was uh pointing out on the absorption earlier isn't here on this pullback of the yesterday's high. So it's harder to really identify when the market's ready to take off because you're not getting that clear signal of like, okay, they aggressively tried to pull down and they failed. Here it's more subtle where the pullback occurs, limit order appears, and then it takes off. It's still identifiable, but you got to like really see those different nuances in the setups. So that's why I'm saying like the LVN is going to have its own nuances. I think with LVNs, they're also a bit more subtle with the pullbacks. But whereas absorption, like clearly almost every trade that
Wait,
I've
wait. How would you were taking that one?
Um, did
Oh
I?
wait, this is not absorption, huh?
No, this is just a
Okay.
reclaim level. I wanted to journal it because I was like, okay, maybe in the future I will learn how to take these, but at the moment I'm not. So I just journaled it as like a setup that appeared that I didn't take.
Oh, okay. Because I was
But
gonna say if that was absorption, I would have not taken it because of that green bow.
yeah, I
I
didn't take this.
yeah.
But my whole thing is pointing out how like each setup has its own nuances to how its confirmations appear. So with absorption, like I said, you need to see that aggressive pullback that shows the spike in volume of sellers trying to push the market down, but they fail. And then um like like this. So they aggressively pull back, volume spike, sellers fail. You can even see this selling volume dies down, and then you let the buying participants appear, wait for that next pullback to hold, and then let the buying volume appear again, and you take off. And then what's cool about waiting for that pullback is for the most part on this pullback, you'll see that the CVD makes a higher low almost all the time, or it's gonna pull back it's gonna the CVD will make a lower low, but the market doesn't pull back making a lower low. Like it stalls up here and CVD tries to make a lower low, but it doesn't. And then you'll see aggressive buying step in. So maybe it's because I've been watching this one a lot more, but when it's happening, I could see it happening a lot clearer than I do with the LVN retest or the reclaim level retest. Um, but those little nuances, if you can just go back to your journal and say Eloy, for example, you go back to your journal and look at every time that LVN uh retest, every time you took it or every time you've seen it happen, then you want to compare each of those LVN setups that occurred back to back to back to back to really see what are the differences or what are the similarities in the setup so that it ingrains it in your mind what you're looking for. Because the way we're doing it right now, when we go back through the week, we're looking at a reclaim level retest, we're looking at a LVN, we're looking at a absorption setup. But we could also be confusing ourselves when we go into the week because we've seen all these different setups, but we may be mixing
Yeah.
the confirmations together, which I found myself doing. Um, but this way, by knowing exactly what my setup is and going reviewing them back to back to back to back, then I'm ingraining in my head, I need to see that aggressive spike in volume hit my demand zone. I need to see the limit orders appear. I need to see CVD stalling or aggressively curling up. And then I need to see that volume step in to make that confirmation to hit the buy button.
Yeah,
And that's
I
me
think.
just saying that off the top of my head without even looking at anything because I just keep reviewing that over and over again.
Hmm.
So last week, what I did on Friday, one of the weekend days, I since I've identified every time my A plus setup appeared, I went back to my book map and I replayed it, but only for these days at where that absorption appeared. Every single one, back to back to back to back. So I still hesitated this week, but I was able to see that it was happening in real time clearly. I don't know why the fuck I hesitated. Even on demo I hesitated. Um so there's still things I need to work on with it, but seeing it happen and identifying it as it's happening is is a lot easier. And I know that I seen it happening in real time because I took a screenshot right as like I was like, instead of entering, I'm just gonna take a screenshot just to see if this is where I should have entered. And sure enough, it ended up being absorption, and I didn't take the trade. Do I have when I took the screenshot? But even here, this is this past week on the 12th. Oh, you can't see it. This is this past week on the 12th. Oh, this is when I took the screenshot. So the market was at 45-minute supply. It sold off and it was coming down into my 4 hour demand zone 6409. You can see here limit orders appeared right at about 6410, and here on my 2 minute thing you can't really see the spike building up here right where the limit orders appeared, and then it kind of dies down and you can see buyers trying to start presenting themselves. I think one of the main reasons I hesitated was because it didn't dip deeper into my demand zone. I wasn't expecting this little wick to be the absorption, but as you can see here, it's a little clearer on the 1 minute. Aggressive selling hit those limit orders right at 6410, 6409. Boom, it hits aggressively with this strong volume candle, pops up, and then it's hidden, but look at this limit order that appears right where this selling happened. And then you see a large volume spike here also. And this is right at this candle wick here. And then the selling dries up. You could have waited for it to do this pop, pull back one more time around 6411, and it's still holding above this selling, and then the volume just spikes up aggressively and it takes off.
Yeah.
But see how this time the spike in volume wasn't as clear, but the buildup of selling that was just chilling here, plus the limit orders, plus the die down and volume, selling volume, that was the signal there. Are y'all still here?
Yeah, just paying attention. It's
I
been a
was like,
while since
damn, y'all
I
got quiet.
like you're explaining it with the correct verbiage, and like I could explain my trade to you, but I'm not using like the right words, and that's what I'm learning right now. So, because even though I'm claiming that I do the LVN test retests, I have like different context as to why I'm taking the trade, even though I'm going to enter at an LVN.
What do you
So
mean?
is that like the strategy? Is that like the setup you want to stick with?
Well, this setup
Me?
happens to be like a random. Are you asking me or Gabe? Or Eric?
Uh, either way.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The trade that I took on Thursday that it was winning, it was something that I've seen repeated before, but it was more something that I've seen off of context. And then in Bookmap, I was just looking for the confirmations. But like what I saw and I wrote it down on Discord was in the pre-market, it bounced perfectly off a trend line that I had. And in the open, I wasn't going to wait for it to come back to the trend line and see if it's going to test again. In my mind, oh, the move already happened and now our direction is going up. And I also had charted, I don't know if you guys had it charted, but the day before we had a supply zone and in pre market it got broken, but then it reclaimed back above it in the pre market as well after bouncing off that trend line. So then in my mind, when the market opens, I was just looking for the bookmap confirmations of when to enter. Once I saw the LVN, and it got back above a previous demand zone, I was like, oh yeah, I'm just waiting for my signal to get in long. And then all the other confirmations appear, like CBD, volume bar started stepping in.
So you see it all the time then.
Well, this specific one, because you don't always see perfect trend line bounces, right? And that's why I'm saying my contact was the trend line bounce, but that's not like a
Uh,
setup.
Oh,
it could be, but you have to have that journaled and be able to put this trade that's right here. Can you see this?
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
shit, you open mine?
Yeah, you have to be able to put this trade side by side by those other trades that you say you've seen at the trend line. And then identify like is the LVN there on that trade also? Uh is a demand zone there also? But I still think that you could have I mean, getting in here is not bad because your stop is really good, but it can also be a probability thing. Whereas if you always get in before the buying steps in, your probabilities of winning that trade can be slimmer because you're not getting that confirmation that buyers are still supporting that move. Like, what's his name? Matt, he took the same trade you're talking about, but he took it over here where the buying had just started. He took it on this pop here, and when I was looking at his review, he he got in as the buying on this initial pullback at the open. He got in on this pop up here, whereas you got in when the pullback was occurring. I mean, looking at your snapshot here is what based on what I see here. You got in as the pullback was still occurring. This could have still pulled back further and did a stop hunt. That's why I'm saying you would want to wait for this buy volume to confirm that buyers are there.
And then where would your entry be once you see that second amount of buyers?
It would probably be around like 64.73, like around here where the Y is.
Man, that's
Because
tight.
that gives you time to see this buying volume begin to step in, and then it's like, okay, my probabilities are higher now. Rather than entering when the selling is still occurring, yeah, it pulled back to a LVN, but you haven't got that buy confirmation yet.
All right. I gotta look out for that.
That's why, like, if you see all uh, my the setups that I take screenshots of, I try to highlight this buying volume that the buy shift here. So it's like you got in on this right here,
Mm-hmm.
but the buying volume, the selling volume had just dried up. The buying volume hadn't stepped in yet. Whereas over here, you can see the buying volume get strong.
Hmm. Do you guys use your risk to reward ratio as a confirmation? Like if you found the perfect entry target stop, and it's like, oh, even the reward ratio is good on this confirmation, like to be a good confirmation.
No.
Nah,
Mm.
I don't have time to think about that too much because
I
this shit happened fast.
True. I could only imagine I got lucky in thinking that I use that. I just happened to use it on the trade that we were just explaining of mine. Because of the O prints, I was like, oh, this reward is perfect. Like that's a perfect target. So it was more like I was excited about the target, and I was like, obviously it could have not gone my way, but I was like, O prints. I see the movement going up. I had like a reason to believe it would reach that. And
I mean,
I mean
I,
that could
I took
add to confidence, but
right.
I took plenty of losing trades where I had really good risk to reward
You're like, I could make $100 taking it.
and had lost 50.
That's true.
Bullshit.
but I don't know. What do you guys think about what I just said? That's me just thinking throughout the week.
I agree with you, dude. It doesn't make sense trying to figure out all these different kinds of setups when you can't even master one. You know,
Yeah,
you gotta because what our edge really is the setup that we master. That's our edge.
yeah,
Like we
definitely.
thought we had it when we figured out outliers. We thought, but little did we know all of these things on Bookmap are just confirmations to the edge.
Yeah,
We have to master it first to it for it to be considered an edge. Because right now we're still developing it,
yep.
but we need to master it to consider it an edge actually, and then
And
that's when the profits come.
that's where, like, I think we're still in a good place. The fact that we know, okay, there's a LVN setup, there's a reclaim level retest, there's an absorption setup, there's even a setups that we haven't even acknowledged yet. The fact that we know there's differences in this is good because now it's not like, okay, I'm chasing anything. Like it's like, okay, we know there's certain setups, but we also know that there's nuances to each setup. So it's like now it's your job or our jobs to identify what's the setup that you want to master and just lock in on that one setup.
Yeah, I'm into absorption.
And then
That's
not that
the that's what making me the most money.
not that we need homework, but obviously that's what the job is. But like the other day, Eric was telling me how all three of us, so far we're mentioning three different setups, and he kind of happened to mention that all three of us take a different one more consistently. And what you were saying earlier, Eric, about the type of note taking we need to do when we take our trades is like every time we do these reviews, you should come with a look at these are every single time I saw that setup to show us if that is kind of like what Eric was saying is true. Like you always, I think he said I always take the LVN, so I'm gonna keep mastering like the LVNs, super note take, super make sure the confirmations are consistent. That makes the LVN test actually seem like oh that is actually correct. Like he happens to always see those same confirmations on his setup, and then bring it to you guys and then like vice versa like you that's just more to master the three different setups not on our own, which I think Eric is saying that would be complicated or confusing, so we might confuse ourselves trying to master them all three. But on the once a week review, if Eric brings the reclaim retest, if Gabe and examples of it, Gabe, you bring the other one that you like to take, and basically what we see. But like that should be like the new way we should approach these. Come with your evidence to show us so that we can like absorb it and just put it in our memory bank.
I mean,
Yeah.
I always liked absorptions. I've just been taking retests because of my FOMO. But so you like want to have homework?
Not
Because
necessarily.
I'm
It's
down
just
for
more of
that.
like these review. We could if
Like, oh,
it's just more like Eric
Huh?
is usually the one with the good evidence of what he's showing us. I need to step up to Eric's level and kind of be like, he already had mines pulled up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this dude's like having examples to show us of what he's talking about, not just talking about it and then having us like wonder, I gotta look out for that on my own. It's more of like That's like if you want to. That's what I'm gonna try to bring to the table. Like I could
Well,
just
I've been reviewing.
no. Maybe I'm speaking out loud about how I feel about myself, but like I definitely want to bring more of the evidence to you guys to like really show you like this is what I saw, this is what it is, and then if I see it
we,
again next week, I'll point it out.
we should have a homework tab where every week we should put what we studied into it, so we keep each other in check or something.
Whoa, chill, Gabe.
I'm down, dude. I'm down to do extra work. I don't care. I want to get this figured out.
I'm not down. It's
You
just I
and
know I can do that. That's at least what I could bring to these Saturday reviews is all my evidence to prove why it is what I'm doing, and not just be like, oh yeah, I took this trade, I won, cool. Like not really knowing what to explain. You know, like I want to be able to explain to you guys why I keep taking this, which essentially is what we're trying to do. But I just don't think I'm that good at it yet. But like this today's review, and then a little bit of what I've been dealing with, it's kind of like that is what I need to prepare for these reviews, not just listening to Eric and you got and Gabe.
All right. First of all, you need to get the terminology down
Yeah,
for sure. It's
facts.
been too long to not have the terminology now.
yep.
Remember when he would call demand supply?
A lot of it too is I just have it like it's just more memory of repeating it. I don't know. I'm sure you guys do. Just I don't take the time to like read my definitions like on my free time. You know, it's just more repetitive. And it's because I'm still learning so many other words, that's where I get them mixed up sometimes. But even though I know what I'm trying to say, I'm just using the wrong word. But
But dude, to be honest, I think you'll make your life easier if you just focus on taking trades at your demand or supply zones.
Yeah,
Like
for
the
sure.
LVNs are fucking hard, dude. I
but
mean, maybe you see something that I don't see, but every time well, for the most parts, when I took LVNs, that shit fucking
But I
took
don't.
my money.
It's not a random LVN that I'm taking. It's once I can confirm the move. So I might not have been able to master the absorption inside my zones, but once the move is taking off from the zone, then I guess I kind of know. Oh, I believe it made a 10-point move. So this is giving me confidence that if it does a slight pullback, as long as it doesn't pull back all the way here, because then that kind of would invalidate the direction. So it's more of an LVN once I have a better confirmation of the direction. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, if it's bouncing off a key demand zone, then it could be a little more reliable. And if you see if you feel more comfortable like having that like the move already started, then I mean that makes sense. But I think just from like over time, me taking those LVNs, even the reclaim level retest, like what I don't like about it is that it ends up being in the middle of a zone, and then I start to just get discombobulated with where the market's trying to
No,
go.
you never
Where
take it in the middle of the zone. You only take it when it reclaims the level. I would never take it in the middle of the zone.
well, that's my problem because when I think something's occurring, like my mind just I just start to like overthink things. And
Oh,
that's where my FOMO comes in because it's like fuck, I missed the absorption. Now I'm trying to force a trade of a reclaim level
that
retest.
dude, that's exactly what happens to me. Because remember, I told you last review that reclaim level retest was my second option after absorption.
Yep.
Because I knew I missed the absorption setup, so now I'm waiting for the reclaim level retest because my emotions are getting ahead of me.
Exactly. And that's what I
Damn,
want to avoid. Like I hate that shit.
I know. Damn, that's been fucking me up.
I
You're right. I'm doing absorption.
I'd rather take my setup and be wrong than to force a setup that is like lower quality.
Or isn't there in my case.
Or yeah, or isn't there.
but
But
even on the trade you were showing us at the beginning of this video, uh, you like a lot of your entries were after it broke out of the zone as well.
yeah, no, my emotions are the worst.
No, no, oh my bad.
They're horrible.
I was talking about Eric because I was just wondering, am I not taking the same type of trades where Eric, you're showing that your entry is only once like you got confirmation that it's about to break out of the zone. Or not break out, but like bounce off of it.
But you're too focused on the box.
Mm,
I'm focused on what's occurring inside the box. Like I said, the selling appeared inside my demand zone. Limit orders are holding price. Volume dies down, and then the shift occurs. Plus, CVD starts to curl as the shift occurs. So yeah, it's breaking out of the zone, but this here, what's occurring here is absorption.
Also, this breakout right here won't always happen as perfect as this.
mhm.
This
Yeah,
breakout zone will happen can happen inside the demand zone still.
exactly. Like this just happened to pull back right to this point here.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's going to pull back a little deeper. Sometimes it's going to do a stop hunt and completely pull back lower and then take off. Sometimes it's not even going to have a pullback and buyers are just going to be super aggressive and take off. And I may miss that and I have to just accept that I wasn't
Yeah.
ready for that. But then when that happens, that's where I have to battle with myself and be like, okay, like you missed your setup. And even if there's a reclaim level retest, as clean as it may look, currently I'm not as good as I'd like to be taking that trade. And if I'm in my live account, I'm going to be risking my money. And I don't want to get in that habit of because I missed my setup, now I'm forcing another setup.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying if you just focus on absorption and trying to master that setup, you won't have to worry about taking LVN because you're taking
Also,
it at the zone.
a benefit would be that we're all focusing on absorption. We could all come together and put what we noticed during the week,
True.
Yeah.
and learn it faster if
And
we're all doing
like
it.
how the hard part about doing this, which I have experienced the past few weeks, is that you have to sit on your hands for quite some time throughout the week. Like you're going to end the day not taking a trade. And even Matt mentioned that in that post that I had posted in the off topic when I asked him like when he first started, did he focus on one setup? And he said no, but he does recommend traders to do that. But he was like, the hard part is you're gonna take less trades and you're just gonna be watching the market for the most part.
Yeah.
I think as students, that's fine though, because ever since I learned like the importance of taking it just directly off your zones, lately that we've been at these all-time highs, like all of my papers are blank. Like I haven't been taking any trades because I'm like I haven't fully understood absorption, and so therefore I'm like I don't know how to do or expect at these all-time highs. So I've been fine not taking trades because I'm like it's nowhere near my zones.
Yeah, it has gotten a lot easier for me, but it is a battle still. Like I remember last week, Gabriel was like, "I don't like going to work and feeling like I didn't do anything," and like
Yeah.
sometimes I do feel like that.
Yeah. That's definitely the hard part for sure.
But the more and more I've been doing it, and the more and more I've identified that okay, every week at least once the A plus setup appears, that's giving me confidence to be like, if I only trade this one setup and don't take a trade the rest of the week, I'm up more than if I would have taken 5 trades throughout the whole week. And think about this, the more we get comfortable with this absorption setup, we're gonna start taking small wins because we're trading one contract. But the more confidence you get on it, sizing up on that, we're gonna make more money on that specific setup, and it's gonna make us more money than taking 5 one contract trades throughout the week and just sizing up on this one trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna compound over time for sure.
Exactly. And once you do master that, then okay, you can have some cushion to experiment again with a LVN or a reclaim level retest.
Yeah.
I always think of that trade Dylan took one time when the market dropped and he said he made $100,000.
Oh
And
yeah,
I'm like,
piece of crap, man.
there's no way he did that off. Obviously, he didn't do one contract, but I'm just kind of like the way we're doing it with one contract. We would have had to have gotten out at a target a long time ago, right? Where he's like, I'm gonna pull out probably a certain amount at that target, but keep the other certain amount in. and it fell so
I think he was.
fast that he probably was like, "Oh shit, this is just dropping."
I think he was swing trading though.
Uh,
Yeah, he holds positions overnight.
okay.
Mm. I don't know. You guys want to review the absorption setups?
Yeah, let me end this video. Set the new one.
Oh shit, dude! I forgot that we were